I've gotten so many questions about how to live more sustainably as a student, but clearly I am not a student. And so it was kind of hard for me to really think about each way that living more sustainably would be different as a student. So it felt like this episode in my little series, the Zero Waste Transformation series, was the best way to tackle that, to actually go on campus with a student who lives in a dorm and ask them, what are your struggles? What do you need help with? And also, what do you already have under, control? If you didn't already know, this is an existing series on my channel, but so far, up until this episode, everyone who has participated has been a family member of mine because I was intimidated by going into people's homes and doing this. I put it on pause for a little while because transitioning from my family into going into strangers' homes was a little bit intimidating, and then COVID happened and obviously put an even bigger pause on this series. But today I have an awesome volunteer, which I'm going to let her introduce herself in just a second, but want to let you know a couple things up front first. First thing is, if you're interested in being the next volunteer in this series, it doesn't matter where you live. I'm accepting applications from everywhere, and then I can go through those as is appropriate when I'm traveling or when I'm trying to make plans. Since we're talking about student living today, I actually want to take this opportunity to actually officially announce that I have started my scholarship. So I have been dreaming of having a scholarship for so long, and I finally was able to put it together. So if you are a student or if you know a student, definitely let them know about it. It's at ecoscholarship.org, and anyone from any major in any school in any country can apply to this. The details will change a little bit from year to year. Right now we're doing kind of a soft opening and we're only awarding for the spring semester. But as time goes on, the amount of scholarships we're able to award as well as the amounts will change. So definitely just check out the website if you're a student and send it to any students that you know along with this video. And the third announcement, last but not least, one of the most important things that anybody can do, especially if you're a student, is speak up and show up for climate action. And this is a really pivotal time because this month is the global climate strike on September 24th. Wherever you are in the world, I'm going to leave a link below to find the closest strike that is happening to you, and I highly encourage you to make a plan to be there on September 24th. Personally, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C., and in hopes to get more people to come out, I'm actually going to be hosting my first ever meet and greet in Washington, D.C. I am equal parts very excited and very anxious because I have social anxiety, but I really believe that this is a very pivotal time in the climate movement between the recent IPCC report and before the COP26 summit in November. September 24th is very crucial for the movement. So if you can be there anywhere across the globe, please be there. But if you want to come to DC and meet me, you can head to shelbizleee.com/meet because you will need to RSVP for that event. Now that I've got all that out of the way, let's introduce you to the volunteer for today, Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a sophomore at UTSA and I'm majoring in geography and environmental sustainability.
So what do you think the overall state of sustainability is at UTSA?
So I would say they're better than most campuses. The only thing that would probably knock them down a couple points would be the composting system, which we don't even have.
Yeah. Emily was lucky enough to have access to recycling in her dorm and a family nearby to drop off compost. However, if you're a student and not as lucky, here are some resources you can use to find the options near you. Option number 1, contact the facilities management of your school. They're usually the ones in charge of recycling. If you're lucky enough to have a dedicated Office of Sustainability, even better. Ask them what recycling is offered on campus, what's offered around town, and what they're doing to improve recycling among students. Option number 2, contact your city or town. Ask them if there are any recycling drop-offs you can utilize and what they're doing to improve on this. And option number 3, check out the app called iRecycle. This will help you find recycling drop-offs near you. When it comes to composting, I definitely don't recommend starting a compost in your own dorm, though there are options for that with worms if you're really up for it. You can follow the above mentioned instructions for recycling, asking your school and asking your city. If you have a garden on campus, ask them if they'll take your compost. That's what I did when I was in school. If you live in an apartment, you can ask them if you could start a compost on site. Check who is accepting compost near you with the Share Waste app. And just a tip, store your compost in your freezer so your roommates have no reason to complain about the smell. So how do you take notes as a student? Well, I guess you've been virtual actually.
Mm-hmm.
So how were you doing it when you were virtual?
So I actually have an iPad that I take notes on, so I'm completely paperless. It's super nice. I recommend it for anyone. You can also get like a Microsoft version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use the Apple Pencil, and then I use the Good Notes app, which is really nice because it's all organized and it's going to be there forever.
Does it make it searchable? I don't know how that app works.
Yeah.
You write it and then you can like search the words later.
Yeah.
That's
it
really
reads
cool.
your handwriting too. Like my handwriting is like, it's not like sloppy, but it's like really cursive-y. So, yeah.
Well, also like I feel like you're probably writing so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you do about books? How do you handle that?
So my first semester I didn't have any books, so that was nice. Second semester I had to get a couple books, but I got them all online. Either the professor gave them to us for free, or someone would find a PDF of it online and they would send it into the group me.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And then I rented the others on Amazon.
Okay.
So this one is a rental. This one I had to buy because I couldn't find a rental. But it's also like an informational book that I can always use. Alright, so I'll pull up my ebooks too. So these ones I got from Amazon. You can rent them and it's a lot cheaper than buying them or renting them in physical form.
Yeah.
So this is one, and it's really nice because you are able to highlight it and make notes and stuff. Here are all the places that I highlight, and I can just click add note and then just jot down whatever.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
When it comes to school supplies and taking notes and things like that, obviously Emily uses her iPad, which is a great option if you already have one or if you can find one used. But if you're someone who really prefers physically writing on paper, I would recommend finding something that's either made of recycled materials. There's also a Rocket notebook, which is an erasable notebook, also a cool option. But most of the time, I just recommend trying to find things secondhand. Specifically here in San Antonio, we do have a secondhand craft store where you can find most of those things. And when it comes down to pens and pencils and all that kind of stuff, again, same situation. When you're done using them, I would highly recommend at least recycling them and looking at your nearest Staples because they do have recycling systems for mechanical pencils, pens, highlighters, all that sort of stuff. And I do have a blog post about sustainable backpacks, but using what you already have is the most sustainable and budget-friendly option. But something I would recommend as a student are a couple apps that would be really, really great to have, and I'm gonna have Emily download them so we can test them out. The Forest app can actually be great for anyone who needs help focusing and wants to help the planet at the same time, as well as Ecosia is another app that I highly recommend, not just for students, but for everyone. But obviously as a student, you're using the internet more, search engines. So basically what Ecosia is a search engine like Google, but instead of just collecting ad revenue as a profit business, they actually use that money to plant trees. I think it's up to 100%, but most of the time, 80% of the revenue goes back to planting trees. I decided to take Emily to some of the most accessible places for her, but also for most students, at least in the US. A local grocery store to see what she would purchase on a normal basis, Target for some household items, and a thrift store to help with decor. Where do you grocery shop normally? Because I know you said those 3 different places, but which one do you want to go to today? H-E-B is good. Oh my god, they're like perfect.
Oh wow.
But this is like perfect. Oh, yep, that's them. Look, that's a great price for organic cotton. So We Humans has a really affordable deodorant in paper now, which is great. because Native is my personal favorite, but obviously $13 compared to $5 when you're a student especially. Dove has a refillable deodorant here now, which is really cool. So Target has great options like for students. They used to have also a Toothy Tabs brand, but they don't have it anymore. Yeah, I love this one because it actually has fluoride. We found some great organic cotton sheets from Target for Emily, as well as a comforter made from recycled plastic. Honestly, if you're someone going into college, Pottery Barn Teen has awesome selection of fair trade and recycled home furnishing items. Highly recommend at least checking it out if you're a student, if you're not going to buy those things secondhand. Typically, bedding is something I personally don't buy secondhand, but if you want to each their own. After we got Emily set up with the basics, I let her go through her first week of classes before I returned to do my trash audit. I also asked her a bit about living with roommates and how she handles living more sustainably with others. Here's what she had to say about that. So I know you have one suite mate. How would she feel about like sustainability stuff, or in general, how do you guys handle like, I don't know, dish soap or toilet paper and that kind of stuff?
She definitely follows my lead. I've like taught her about like trying to lean towards like thrifting and like less towards fast fashion and stuff.
Yeah.
As for like cleaning and stuff, we haven't really talked much about it, but I would definitely love to like use more sustainable products, like
Right.
like no paper towels and like instead reusable one. As for toilet paper, I know there's like a bamboo one.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, a lot of people's perspective is like, I'm moving in with these random people,
Yeah.
and like, how the heck do I convince them to live sustainably?
Yeah, so last year I didn't really know my roommates that well. I only knew one. I didn't want to like feel like they had to do something to make me feel better.
For sure.
So yeah, I definitely had a little bit of eco anxiety with it,
Yeah.
but
I definitely think I had the same opinion. Like when I had roommates, or when I mean, I still do. My sister still lives with me, and like I just kind of do my own thing. I don't really want to push what I'm doing onto other people, and that's just kind of how I've always done it. So I always wonder why people ask that, because I guess people feel like they have to fit in.
Yeah.
But I've never felt that pressure. Did you ever feel like judged by them, or?
no, like I feel like I make a bigger impact on my family and my parents, like trying to get them to use like reusable sandwich bags and like trying to get them to compost and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I definitely do tell my friends like, hey, like I don't know, get the fruit that's not wrapped in plastic when we go to the grocery store.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah. A trash audit is a quintessential part of any episode in this series, so we need to do that first. I don't think this is how it works here, because you also live in San Antonio, but plastic bags, if they're gonna go in like a curbside, they need to be bundled. Thin plastics like that are not recyclable in your curbside because they'll get caught in like the wheels of the recycling facility, and it makes it like shut down production. It's like it's a problem. Yeah, we can just take all the thinner plastics out of there and we can bundle them all in that one if that's what works.
Are these recyclable? I've never known. There's no cups.
I think technically they are, but a lot of times, like you can send it to the recycling, but oftentimes what happens is at the facility, they're so small that they get sorted out, but you can put them in there. It's not gonna hurt the recycling process. Receipts, this is a good teaching moment. Yeah. These are like, they're paper, but they often have a BPA actually lining, which is disgusting. Bad for our health and the planet, obviously, but making them most of the time not even recyclable. So that's a bummer. So I did get a question in a recent video as well of if you can put things like bread bags in your thin plastic recycling and that sort of stuff. And the answer is yes. You can always look at the recycling number and it can help you determine it right there. This is a HDPE. So those are the thin plastics, and virtually every thin plastic falls under the same thing. So you can bundle them all together. This is the perfect bag to do that in, actually. As a student, it's obviously really difficult to live like zero waste. Actually, in general, it's very hard to live a zero waste lifestyle. I don't claim the term, really, to be honest with you. And so when it comes to trying to reduce your recycling, I think that that's not the number one place to focus. We should look at the things that are not even recyclable and try to reduce those, obviously. So let's look in here. We already talked about receipts. Straws are one of the things that are like unfortunately usually not recyclable because of their shape usually. A lot of recyclers won't accept them. In San Antonio, I'm pretty confident we can't. What else in here? Okay, this is a good one. Paper towels. We got Emily like some alternatives to paper towels, which is good. But paper towels are not recyclable, unfortunately, especially if they have stuff on them. This is so weird. What is my job going through people's trash? So aluminum is actually like one of the most recyclable materials. So definitely recycle these. The only thing is like you do have to rinse them out usually. So we can do that. This guy can upgrade from the trash bin to the recycling bin. We'll just rinse him out. Okay, but yeah, for the most part, it looks like you guys are really lucky to have recycling that you can take downstairs. I think as far as your trash goes, a lot of these things are unavoidable. Receipts, paper towels, we can reduce those, and we're going to. This is looking good. There's like snack wrappers in here, but do I expect students to not eat fruit roll-ups and cookies? Not really, so cool. I will say, as far as trash from snack wrappers go, I do have a recommendation that Emily can try, which is zero waste popcorn in the microwave. So let's give that a try. I made some recommendations for Emily during the trash audit, which I hope help her out in the future. But as a student living on campus without a proper kitchen, it is completely understandable that you wouldn't be able to have all of your meals be plastic free. So one of the big pillars of my channel is trying to live with like less plastic. And that's what a lot of people like think of as environmentalism because it's so tangible. Do you feel like there's a lot of plastic in like food on campus, or like from a scale of 1 to 10, how easy is it to find food without it? Or can you even do that?
With COVID, it's a little difficult because like even the fruits are wrapped in plastic, and like you'll have like styrofoam for like takeout boxes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you like go and eat at the dining hall, they'll have like just plates that you can reuse, and then forks and spoons.
Yeah.
It's possible, but like it's not always avoidable.
Right. How often do you make your own food? Since you live in a dorm and you don't have a proper kitchen, what is that like?
I didn't have a hot plate last year, but this year I do plan on like making like omelets in the morning or like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Last year I would just like, if I wanted to make something at home, it would have to be like a sandwich or like something microwavable. But my brother would also like do meal plans throughout the week. He would make like a bunch of food at his house, and then he would give it to me. So that was really nice.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
A couple businesses I'd recommend checking out if they're in your area for getting food at a discount rate and that would be more sustainable include the Too Good To Go app. This is where you can get food that would normally be to go or takeout, so you don't have to cook it in your dorm. And the app helps coordinate things that would normally be waste and give it to consumers like you and me. Olio is a very similar app to Too Good To Go, whereas Imperfect is a little bit different in that you can order groceries from them. They actually have groceries that are not Imperfect, but they also have fruits, vegetables, other sort of pantry items that are things that would normally be thrown out by the supplier, but instead are sold to people like you and me. So it saves us money and is better for the environment. But I thought it would also be worth it to take a walk around campus and see what the options were. Zero waste in general, and even more extremely hard as a student, this feels like the perfect time to remind you that the term and practice of zero waste was meant to be the responsibility of businesses and corporations. It was not meant to shift that responsibility onto your everyday individual like you and me. As you can see, we can only do as much as the society we live in is set up for us to do. This is not the fault of Emily or anyone for that matter, but rather the system that has been built for disposability instead of long-term sustainability. So whether you're a student or a parent or anything in between, just remember to do your best and advocate for the rest. Instead of getting caught up in eco-anxiety, use that energy and frustration with the system to fight against it. When it feels impossible to find sustainable options on campus, speak up. Tell organizations on campus and get them involved, start petitions, put the responsibility of change on the people responsible for the state of our world in the first place. More info on how to do this effectively at shelbizleee.com/change. But as a perfect example of how you can influence change on a scale bigger than just yourself, I wanted to let Emily have the floor for a moment to explain something that she's actually doing at UTSA that is really, really cool with compost.
I got accepted to do this fellowship that allows me to implement a compost system at my school. So basically what I would do is I would have compost bins at the cafeteria and hopefully at the residence halls that students can put compost in themselves. And we would use that compost to take it to the community garden here. And then with that compost, we would grow food that we would give to the student pantry here. So the fellowship is the United Nations Millennium Fellowship. I found out through my school here, so I applied. It's not too long of an application, and then you can submit a video of yourself if you'd like to. And then it takes a couple months for them to get everyone's applications because they're getting applications from all over the world. I know food waste is such a big problem, especially in college kids, and college kids are so wasteful. Myself even. If UTSA wants to be classified as sustainable, they need to impose some kind of composting system that can allow them to do so. And yeah, this is a great way for me to kind of go above just my impact and try to make other people's impact as well, and to create change that's more than just the change that I wanted to change myself. Yeah. I said change a lot.
And since we have plants on the brain, since we're talking about compost, I also wanted to point out that indoor gardens have come a long way. I'm so passionate about everybody being able to grow some of their food on their own. It's one of the most sustainable things we can do and one of the most impactful things we can do to fight against the system that we are currently subject to. So these little indoor gardens have come a long way. You can actually grow a lot of things on them, and even if you have a small space, this is a great option for you. I'll have one linked below if you're interested. I hope this can serve as a good example for students all across the world, and if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments, and hopefully other students and other people who have had experiences in the same thing can come along and respond to your questions, and we can make this a good little community spot. I'll leave everything I talked about linked in the description, and if you have any questions that you think would make a good blog post, I'll also make that and leave that linked in the description for future people who come across this video. Please share it because this is an awesome episode. I'm so proud of this. So share it with any students that you know, or just share it in general. It has good tips for anybody. And remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye, guys.